Hi, this is Skeino. My name is Bjorn, and we are talking today about other questions from the knitters. And I'm very, very happy that you sent it to me, so it makes my life easier to come up each Tuesday or whenever our newsletter goes out to talk about another small issue while knitting with yarn. And today's subject are edges, a little bubble or a big bubble, it depends on what you like, and knitting on the bias. So the main issue is to avoid a horrible or a bad edge, which one you always hate to see on your knitting. So we will try to give you some advice how to do better. So let's see what we can do. The first sample I want to share with you is a portion is knitted in garter stitch and the other portion is knitted in stockinette stitch. And you see I have a good edge all the way on the left side, and on the right side you see this looks a little bit sloppy. And what I did here, I will show you how I do the edge, because the gauge on a garter stitch you have many more rows than on a stockinette stitch. So the edge on the right side from the garter stitch field is the same edge what I used on the left side only on stockinette, and it does very nice here, but it's not so nice here because you have so many more rows. And I will show you to do the little pearly textured edge, which one I used on the other side here too. You see here are the little turnarounds, which one I look like pearl stitches. And on the other side it just makes this a nice braid just by slipping the first stitch purlwise or knitwise. So I will show you now how to do the turn, and therefore when I have the last stitch on my purl row, I don't knit the last stitch. So I turn it around and I wrap the yarn around the last stitch and yarn in front, and I purl this first stitch. So and that gives us a nice stitch, a nice edge. Or I'm knitting now fast across to show you on the other side when I slip the first stitch by knitting the last stitch. So the little purl edge is do not knit the last stitch, and when you turn your work, yarn in front and purl. So now I'm knitting my last stitch, turn my work around, and the first stitch I slip if to purl, bring the yarn in the, and then I keep purling, and that gives you the nice edge here on the side. It's like look like a braid. So and I want to show you again when I do the same on the garter stitch field, it just doesn't look right. It's way too long, and it makes a bump here, and it looks so very nice on the left side. So the yarn in front, purling the first stitch after turning your work, and do not knit the last stitch. That is how I knit the garter stitch edge. And you can do this as well on your stockinette stitch. You can do the same, and it gives you a nice little pearly edge. And when you seam eventually parts together for a garment, so you have a good count here, so you can orientate your sewing job to kind together very, very nicely. So both sides are, my opinion, very nice, but this we don't want to avoid this. So this looks really sloppy, so this would be my suggestion to do a better edge for a garter stitch piece. The second sample I want to share with you is a scarf knitted on the bias, and as you can see the angle on the tip is here 45 degrees and not 90. 90 would be like this. So your edge here needs to be much longer to give you the width and the length to work if you stretch the scarf. If this would be too short, it will curl around and you would have not a nice bias. So how to do so? In our pattern, I describe the first stitch as knit the first stitch twice to have this long edge on both sides. And it's a very, very simple thing, but we had a lot of questions. What do you mean by knit the first stitch twice? That's what I want to show you. So here's my first stitch. I just knit the first stitch, put the stitch back on the needle and knit the stitch again. So it makes kind of a chain as you crochet, and that gives you exactly the length you need not to make your bias shawl curly. And then you just keep going with the knitting here. So, and this stitch here gives you the nice length from your bias. So you can stretch it. It gives you just what you need to wear this scarf. So 45 degrees, the edges, both sides have to be longer, and therefore the first stitch need to be knitted twice as one option to create the length. The third sample I want to share with you is knitting the bubble. We had quite a bit of questions from our knitters. They wanted to know how I do it because of my knit yarn over knit subject in one of my previous little videos. But before I show you this, I want to show you another time the edge, like the edge I do, so you see this little purl rows in this garter stitch coming nicely out and just doing something nicely. So I really like it a lot, very easy to do. So remember, don't knit the last stitch and yarn in the back and knit the first stitch. So wrap the yarn around. I can show it to you here another time. So the last stitch was not knitted, yarn around and just knit the first stitch, and it gives you this nice edge. So I want to start another bubble, and the difference between yarn over and knit in the same stitch is that you are not wrapping the yarn several times around your first stitch. I want just to show you, and I'm using another needle. So this is the stitch here, and I made 7 out of 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you see it just comes organic out of the stitch. Of course the stitch is growing, it makes a little hole, but it comes really nicely out, and the yarn is not wrapped twice around it. I will show you when I start a new bubble now the different ways how to increase some more stitches. So the first is just knit, and then don't knit from the front and from the back, because if you do this you wrap the yarn around the stitch twice, and that doesn't look good. So therefore I suggest just knit the first, yarn over, knit a second time. You have 3 and 4 and 5. So this bubble here has 7 stitches. I think it's a little bit too big. It's like the reindeer nose from Rudolph. So I make it now a bubble with just 5 stitches. So then finish my row, and I decided to have my bubble on the front side with a knit surface, with a purl surface, never mind, with a purl surface. So my back row, you know already how I do my edge, and I have a little bit, I have 4 stitches of garter stitch on my sample. So this is all knit, 1, 2, 3, and I'm reaching now my bubble, which I will knit to show it on the front side as pearls. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here are my 3 stitches before I have my garter stitch edge with 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and the last stays unknit. Turn my work, and you see here is where the bubble starts with the 5 stitches. So I will do a little bit quicker to finish this bubble to show you how to do. So here my garter stitch edge with 4 stitches, 3 stitches in the middle, and now I have to purl my bubble. 5 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my 4 stitches, my 3 stitches, and the 4 for my garter stitch edge. And I work 3 rows for the bubble before I decrease back to 1 stitch. So 1 more row to do. So my garter stitch here, 3 and 4, the stitches in between, 1, 2, 3, and my bubble is knit because I want to have my bubble appear in purl stitch on the right side, and my 3 in between, and the 4, and then I'm done with my bubble. So this is my row where I decrease my 4 stitches garter, 4, 3 in between, 2, 3, and now what I do is, you see this is a bubble, and I just pull the 2nd stitch over the 1st, the 3rd over the 1st, the 4th, and the 5th. So they're all done, all together, and then I knit it. And you pull the yarn a little tighter so the bubble can form itself. Finish my row, and then I will show you how this came out. So you see this bubble is a little smaller than the first one. So this is one with 5, this is one with 7. Very easy. So if you like the left side or the purl side better, you can poke the bubble through, and you have a stitch, a knit bubble on the left, on the purl side. So both can be done. I think it's very attractive. The yarn is broken here. I apologize. I was pulling too hard, and so this is a nice little thing you can design with.